All right, what is up, everybody? Shadow Scout 001 here, 13 here, reporting in for a unit kind of not a unit breakdown, but kind of like a unit comparison, and just kind of created a list for each one. And I'll kind of go over what I would do for each one, mostly containing bikes. So today, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be going over the swoop bikes, we're going to be going over the 74Z speeder bikes. We're also going to go over the Bark speeders, and we are also going to go over the Staps. And I figured, why not make a list for each one just to kind of, you know, have something else to offer besides just talking about them and where I think, they are and what my favorite is and kind of the difference between each one. So before we get started, go ahead and head to theburnacademy.com and subscribe there for 15 bucks a month to get 3-month programs, 30-minute workouts, 30 programs for at home, ab stuff, coaching videos, example meal plans, everything to keep you on track while you're at the gym. And yeah, it's just a great, way for beginners to have something to follow when they're at the gym. Now, secondly, we have made some updates, or I should say, Orphan has made some updates to the Discord channel, and we're trying to make it a little bit more so where people can chat a little bit differently and a lot more. Obviously, we're going to try to do some hobby stuff in here. We've got some voice channels just in case anyone wants to play TTS. We've got some, general help in TTS events, anything looking for a game. We've got the Shadow Collective stuff, GAR, CIS, Rebels, Empire, just anything that's off topic, media, memes, anything that you just want to post, have fun, and then just rule questions, less building help, server requests, anything that you have. And then we'll put any announcements in here. And it's still kind of growing and still kind of doing what I can to make sure that you guys have a community to talk about lists and or anything else, obviously. But I want to help with people who who are going to tournaments and look at their lists and maybe offer something that I can. And you know if there is something that I don't say or get to talk about much, mostly what I'm trying to do is just I don't want to change what people have. So if maybe someone offers a list like this one and maybe stuff that they've so he changed his list into this and he had questions and we responded and says, everything looks good. You've covered the basics and you've got a lot of stuff, covered, just small things. And I'm not going to change someone's full list because this is what they have and this is what they want to take. And so I don't want to deviate too much from that. I just want to offer whatever I can help wise. So go ahead and head there. And so now let's get into it. Sorry, guys, for that intro, but we'll go ahead and take a look at everything. So first off, we have our swoop bikes. They are 70 points base, which is great. They have cover 1. So when defending, you can improve your cover by 1. So if you're in no cover, you can, improve your cover to light cover. If you are in heavy cover, or light cover, you can improve to heavy cover. If you're in heavy cover, it's not low profile as far as I understand. So you're only going to be able to get to heavy cover. Independent aim or dodge. So whenever at the start of the activation phase, you don't have an order token, you can gain an aim or a dodge, which is very, very helpful. And the fact that you're still going to wind up getting your compulsory move and then your other 2 actions. So your 3, but now you get to have an aim or a dodge without even having to interfere with any of that. So you might be able to have 2 dodges when you're attacking or 2 aims whenever you're attacking, or you might have, a dodge, do your compulsory, then take another dodge and then move again, and then be able to move farther and have 2 dodges. Very kind of similar to, Staps, but a little bit different since it's not agile. It's just you'd have to take that action. For them, they can, move, do their compulsory, and then do their move, and then have 2 dodges because every time they make that move, they gain, a dodge, and we'll talk about that. And then reinforcements, which is I think is fantastic. So you may deploy after all units without the word reinforcements have deployed. So if you need to strategically place them to flank anybody, then I think that these bikes are great. Now I think they're going to be better in the fact that they're going to be in Shadow Collective because of the raiding party leader for the bus, and it gives them demoralize. And now you're going to have 3 of them. And then I made a list with 2 AA5s to go off of that. And it's kind of like a list similar to what was played against Kyle at Gen Con, I think maybe. And yeah, I thought it was a interesting, really cool list. And they talked about it. So I just kind of wanted to make a similar list to that. Nothing fancy. He made a really great vehicle list. And so I figured I would share it. Then speeder 1. So while moving, you can ignore terrain that's height 1 or lower, either at the start of the activation phase or at either the start or the end of your activation. You can perform a compulsory move. So whenever you activate, you have to either do a compulsory move first, or you can do your 2 actions, and then you have to take a compulsory move after. Can't do anything in between. That's not the compulsory move. So you can't compulsory and then, or you can't just move and then compulsory and then do something. You have it start or end. The overrun, it is a red and 2 white. You do surge, which is fantastic. But since there are 2 bikes in a unit that all have 3 health, so you have 6 health in the unit, they don't have a breaking point or they don't take suppression. So you don't even have to worry about any of that, which is great. You just need to worry about making sure you're rolling for defense and you're kind of keeping them in as much cover or behind line of sight as you can. But speeder bikes are going to be getting in and dying. That's it. They're trying to get in, do some damage, and die. For the most part, if they're staying alive, congratulations. You've done a lot and you've been able to dodge a lot. But hopefully, depending on what you're trying to do, they're going to probably die quick, especially with white saves. You do have surge to defense with this one, which is great. Way better than the Staps who don't surge at all, or the Barks who don't surge at all, but they do have a red dice. But at least they, are surging. They do have a ranged of 1 to 2 with a red and a black, which means since there's 2 of them, you're going to be able to roll 2 red, 2 black at range 1 to 2. Now back to the overrun. So they do have 2 overrun 1s if both of them are alive. So basically, you could technically, if you were in a really good position, overrun basically means that if the leader's base overlaps when it's moving or lands on an enemy trooper unit or unit period, as far as I know, it's a trooper unit, but I think it's a unit in general. As long as the leader's base cross that path or land on it, you can do an overrun attack. So if you do a compulsory move, you can do an overrun if it's overlapping. Then you can do a normal move and then you do the overrun attack again with the other unit, basically technically, but it's still based off the unit leader. And then you can, as your second action, to shoot, because your first action was to move. The overrun attack is not a melee or a ranged attack. I didn't bring it up on here. I'm sure I could in a second, but basically, sorry guys, I'm gonna try to show you if I can pull it up. I don't know why I didn't pull it up to begin with. Boop-a-doo. Nope, over here. Overrun. Let's see here. Did I miss it? I'm sure. Is it at the bottom? If I can't find it in 2 seconds, I'm just gonna, yeah, okay. So it must be at the very, very bottom. Sorry, guys. I was gonna try to, I didn't know I would need to have this ready and available. But with there it was. Overrun. So the weapon that has the overrun weapon can be used during, overrun attacks. They're not ranged or melee. Okay, so a unit may make an overrun 1 attack during its activation. So a unit with an overrun weapon can immediately perform an overrun attack if it has performed a move in which 1 or more of its miniatures bases overlapped an enemy miniatures base. So after completing the move and resolving any displacement, the unit with the overrun weapon performs an attack against the unit it moved through, ignoring range when making this attack because it's not a ranged attack. And it's just because you're moving through them. It can only form one attack pool when making this attack. So you're only going to roll 1 red and 2 white when doing the overrun. Even if it's overrun 2, you would roll the red and 2 white once, and then you would roll it again as another attack. So that's basically overrun. Sorry, guys. So yeah, it doesn't just specifically say the unit leader. I thought it was specifically the unit leader because you're moving the unit leader. So does that so correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below for sure, definitely. And by the way, definitely comment below with anything. I mean, if you have any questions, if you have any disagreements for sure, I'm definitely needing to be corrected sometimes and would like to know exactly what it is. And, leave a comment with what you want to see next as well, anything like that. Okay. But yeah, so it doesn't say it specifically has to be the unit leader, but you're moving the unit leader. And I guess if at the movement 1 away for cohesion, if your other bike were to land on someone, I'm sure that you would be able to use the overrun attack as well based off of the cohesion. That's the only thing I can say is when you're displacing, because then you would land on them during that compulsory move. Does that make sense? So basically, if you do the compulsory move and you cohere to displace, as far as I know, you can use the overrun because now one of your minis, it just says with an overrun attack, it can perform an overrun attack. It performs one or more of its miniatures bases overlap at any enemy miniatures bases. So yeah, I guess into cohesion, you can do the overrun attack as well. So you can get 3 attacks out of them, basically. You can roll attack dice 3 times, technically, with the overrun if you have 2 of them. That's all I'm trying to get at. So the damage output from them can be a lot, possibly, especially if they roll really, really well. And that's if you can keep them alive. So hopefully that kind of has helped a little bit. They can be played in the Rebels and Republic, as well as Shadow Collective. And I mean, I don't think that they are as great, honestly, in anything but Shadow Collective. But hey, I mean, if you wanted to give them a shot in Republic, I think that would be great, honestly, because you're trying to probably give your troops all of the orders as much as possible and then let the other bikes do what you can. But for the sake of this video, I try to make Gar with Barks. So let's go and kind of go over the list. And there's ways to rearrange any of this if you wanted to. I just kind of gave you a 13-point bid. If you wanted to change any of it, feel free. So there's 3 swoop bikes, just in case you're doing breakthrough or bombing run. So let's kind of look at it. So breakthrough would be good because now you've got some trucks, some buses, I should say, and you've got 3 swoop bikes. So you have 5 vehicles that are going to be able to move pretty hard and far. They both have the refurbished gonk droid just in case. You want to keep them alive as long as you can. And then the raiding party leader is on one of them and the reckless driver is on the other. The reckless driver has comms jammer. So that way, you're making a compulsory move. You're going to be getting into the enemy lines on purpose and as fast as you can. So I think comms jammer would be great. And then with the raiding party leader, so the raiding party leader is going to gain allies of convenience and is now your field commander. So each friendly vehicle unit gains demoralize 1. So after your rally step, an enemy unit at range 1 to 2 gains up to 1 suppression token. So again, you've got 5 vehicles. So you're going to be able to dish out suppression from 5 different vehicles. So breakthrough would be perfect. Intercept the transmissions would also be not that bad. And then I think the hostage exchange could be okay. It might not be the best. I think bombing run is going to also be the better one to choose. And hostage exchange could happen with the displacement with your reckless driver. And so there's a lot of things you could do with that one. We'll go with hostage exchange, giving you a 13-point bid basically to hopefully get that red player. I mean, blue player. Wow, I was looking at the red here. Advanced positions wouldn't be that bad. battle lines wouldn't be that bad because, again, you're going through breakthrough, intercept, and bombing run and hostage. You're just trying to get across the finish line for the most part. And 3 out of 4 of these. The rollout would be great for your vehicles and then hemmed in because you're blue player, you've got 2 places to hurry up and get in. Danger close would also not be that bad if you didn't want hemmed in or battle lines. And then with your conditions, you've got speeder bikes and you've got some vehicles. So minefield actually would be great because the compulsory vehicles, it doesn't really matter with those mines. Hostile environment would be great because you've got so many units that don't take suppression. Your trucks, your buses, well, okay, your 2 buses and your 3 bikes don't take suppression. So in a hostile environment would actually be pretty good. Supply drop is always fun to have. And then, war weary could be fine, but you'd really have to keep your capo as close as possible. So your Black Sun enforcers are, for the most part, going to stay in the trucks. They're the buses, whatever you want to call them. And then, so they're not going to be taking suppression as long as they're in there. And then your Pike Syndicate capo can be as close as possible to these 2 Pike Syndicate foot soldiers to even hand out tokens to begin with, because at range 1 and in line of sight can gain tokens. So as long as you're in that range 1, then worry is not going to be a big deal because, again, not only do you have your 2 Black Sun enforcers inside the buses, so that really only technically means you're going to have the 1, 2, 3 guys right here on one side, and then the 5 units of vehicles wherever you want. So that's 8 units on the field. 5 of them, don't worry about suppression. So, and then like I said, your capos in between. So Warrior, I think, would be fantastic to have. So that is honestly what I think. And I don't know if I mentioned you have emergency transponders on the bikes, because emergency transponder says that when you activate, if you were activated with an order from the order pool and not given an order, you can gain an aim or a dodge or remove a suppression. You're not going to have to remove suppression, but that aim or dodge could really come in handy. All right. So let's look at the 74Z speeder bikes, the very first speeder bikes that came out. I like them. I think they're fine. I like that they shoot at range 1 to 3 normally, instead of range 1 to 2 like the swoop bikes here. And there's no impact or anything. So it's just you're hoping for crits for the most part. Without impact and without pierce, these things are just kind of whatever. But at least, the heavy blaster pistol, there is no front arc. So that's really, really nice. So with the AX-20 blaster cannon, it's fixed front, so it's in the front arc only. So you've got to be careful how you place them so that you can get them in the front arc. They automatically have impact 1, and since there's 2 of them, when you roll, it's going to be a double rainbow with impact 2. So that's really good. And if you had as many bikes as possible, that could be up to impact 8, which in Blizzard Force you can have at range 1 to 3. Then they have an automatic range 1 to 2, 2 black, does surge, and there is no fixed front. So if you're beside or behind someone, you can roll, if you have 2 of them, 4 black dice surging to hit. It's not the greatest because you're losing out on their better gun, but hey, if that's what happens, that happens. They've got cover 1, so defending against a range attack, improve your cover by 1, and speeder 1. So while moving, ignore terrain that is height 1 or lower, which is really good. And they have a comms. Now, they're not 90 points anymore. They're only 70 points, which is way better. Okay. They have 3 health each. They do surge offense and defensively, just like the swoop bikes, which is really good. And they roll white defense dice just like them. So again, it's very, very squishy. They are not getting a dodge anytime they move or independent dodge. So sometimes you might be better off giving them the emergency transponder. I didn't in this case. You can, if you wanted to, get rid of points somewhere else, and it wouldn't be that bad of an idea, and or it gets rid of your bid. They do move speed 3, which is fantastic, just like the swoop bikes move speed 3. And they'll have to do the compulsory move at the beginning or end. So I decided to go with a Blizzard Force because you can have 4 units of bikes. So why not maximize bike use and talking about bikes with a specifically good bike list? In this one, I have Veers with commanding presence so that he can give out the orders to the bikes who are probably going to be far away. Electro binoculars to help out the stormtroopers and or the snowtroopers that he's around. And then I also have the Imperial officer who has the electro binoculars. Now these generals or officers are going to really be able to have the Inspire 1 and Inspire 1 over here to be able to get rid of some suppression. Now, if you wanted to, and you wanted to give them lead by example, or at least Veers lead by example, you could. You'd probably have to cut points somewhere to be able to get that because it's 8 points for lead by example, and you only have 7 points left. Then I have the 2 stormtroopers with the DLT-19 and the RT-97C. So the RT-97C is shooting a red and 3 white at range 4, and then you're shooting another 2 red at range 1-4, impact 1, surging. So 3 red, 3 white. I mean, that's already really, really good. And then on top of that, if you're at range 1 to 3, you're going to add another 3 white dice to that. So imagine rolling, let's see, 6 white and 3 red. So 9 dice at range 3. That it's all surging to hit, impact 1. That's really, really, really good. Then I have 2 flame snowtroopers with the extra snowtrooper and the frags. So the extra snowtrooper there to keep the flame trooper alive as much as we can. And then the frag grenades in case the snowtrooper wants to throw the frag, the other guys want to shoot, and then the flamethrower goes in. Or again, you just throw 5 red dice along with a black dice for each mini in the unit with no cover because of blast. Now, the thing with this is with the, debark for ground assault, each friendly core trooper unit that is issued an order can gain spur. So you've got 5 core units that you're going to be able to choose from. You're probably going to want to give them to the snows, especially the flames, or if, depending on the objective that you have, maybe you give them to the stormtroopers and give them speed 3, which would be awesome. And then their weapon game suppressive. So if they needed to shoot at range, whatever, it'll be suppressive. Now, this is a very suppressive dealing list. You have maximum firepower in there to deal at least range 4 to infinity. And then you have the overwhelming barrage, which is suppressive. The debark for ground assault makes their weapons suppressive, and the unrelenting fire prevents them from taking off suppression. So unless they have a card that allows them to recover when they activate, Iden can recover. So that is before she does her rally step, before anything happens, she's activating. So that will prevent the unrelenting fire from happening. So you got to kind of be careful with that. But for the most part, this is 11 activations. You got 4 speeder bikes, and you are in evasive maneuvers. The Imperial's discipline is going to be able to give as many things as possible. Now, this isn't really focused on, the speeder bikes. So with all of the other, cards besides evasive maneuvers, if you can try to give, the stormtroopers and all of your core as many of those tokens as possible, then in your bag, you're definitely going to be pulling from a speeder bike. If you wanted to add, since you do have the points, improvised orders to Veers, that's going to help you even more to make sure you draw those speeder bikes, giving you less of a bid, but it just kind of depends on what you want. Now, I have breakthrough, hostage exchange, bombing run, and intercept the transmissions again. So for the most part, I'm trying to keep these the same as what I did over here. But that's going to give you 4 speeder bikes for breakthrough, and for bombing run, you've got plenty of bikes to spare, which is great. And then you have an ion trooper just for that ion. You've got your flames, and then you've got your impact. So it's kind of anti-armor. You're doing your pretty much your best against armor with this one. And it's 11 activations. So we have that one. All right. So I like them a lot. I think these guys can put out a lot of damage at range 1 to 3. unlike the swoop bikes, but the swoop bikes are dealing more damage. They still do everything that the 74Z speeder bike does. It doesn't have, it doesn't count as a range attack, so you can technically dish out more damage again, like I said, with the overrun and their range 1 to 2. But I like the 74Z speeder bikes just because they're simple. And again, impact 2 at range 1 to 3. And some people have lots of armor. So, these are the cheapest anti-armor, really nice little glass cannons you can have. Again, they're going to die pretty quick, but not as probably quick as the Staps. But I'm not going to go over the Staps just yet. I'm going to go over the Barks. So the Barks have Arsenal too, but they have technically 2 weapons already on them, so you don't have to equip anything. You're just going to be shooting kind of like 2 less dice than the regular speeder bikes that from the Empire have, because you'd be shooting a double rainbow. With this, you'd be shooting just 1 red, 2 black, 1 white. If you just went normal. They do surge to hit, which is great. They have 5 health instead of 6. They do have a breakdown point, and there's only 1 of them. But again, they do roll a red defense dice. In my opinion, because of what speeder bikes are supposed to do, I would much rather have the 74 speeder bikes, the Empire speeder bikes, and or the swoop bikes. But for car players, it's not a bad unit, because it does have speed 3 normally. And here we go. So cover 1, when you're defending against a range attack, you can improve your cover by 1. And speeder 1, when you're moving, ignore height 1 or lower. And when you activate, you can perform a compulsory move at the beginning or end. And with Arsenal 2, so again, it has 2 guns to begin with, but you can add anyone you want. And there's 3 different things to choose from. So I'll go ahead and just do this for a second so we can see all 3. We have the Bark Ion Gunner, which is range 1 to 3, 3 black, 1 white. It's exhaustible. It's in the fixed front or rear, but nothing to the side. And then with impact 1, because normally what you can do is the only fixed front one that you have is the twin light blaster cannon. These DC-15A blaster rifles can be shot anywhere, but it's still less than what the 74Z speeder bikes shoot, even though it's range higher. In my opinion, I still like the Empire the most right now. Besides the swoops, the swoops and Empire are my top 2. I can't really figure out which one's my absolute favorite. I'm going to go with the swoops, honestly, but I still like the range 1 to 3 double rainbow on the Empire. Sorry. Okay. So whenever you equip someone or a gunner, you're going to have to reduce your maximum speed by 1. So, and it says it right here on the upgrade cards. So instead of going speed 3, you're going speed 2. So now you've slowed yourself down to give yourself a better gun, which is, again, why I don't really care for it. But again, it's at least a good speeder, red dice saves, and you don't have to upgrade it. You don't have to upgrade anything to it. It just allows you to. So this also has impact 1 and ion 1. So when a vehicle or droid is wounded by the attack, it gains an ion, which can be really nice, but it's exhaustible. So it's not that I love it. I'd rather have the RPS 6 gunner, which is non-exhaustible, a single rainbow, range 2 to 4, impact 2. You do reduce your speed by 1, which helps a lot with that range 2 to 4. And it's range 4, which is great because sometimes it's hard to get that range 4, but you're only going to be shooting that. It just kind of depends. I like it a lot. For 21 points, it's worth it in my opinion. Now, the other thing I like a lot is just the regular Bark Twin laser cannon, which is range 1 to 3, 2 black, 2 white. So technically, you're going to be shooting 1 red, and then 3 black, 3 white. Because normally, let's see, yeah, a single rainbow, and then you can add this to the dice pool. So yeah, 1 red, 3 black, 3 white. That's pretty good at range 1 to 3 for only 18 more points. So basically, for 3 points more, you're going to be able to shoot a little bit more dice, like 1 more dice than the Empire ones at range 1 to 3. But again, you have one, which is easier to keep track of, and you. It's really such a hard choice, honestly. The bark speeders are good. I do like the red die saves. I do like the fact that you can add these other gunners to it. But for the most part, the built-in impact one on the Empire, in my opinion, is better than having this because the Empire already has basically this gun range 1 to 3, impact one on each of its speeder bikes already. So yeah, it's not the worst. I do like it. Now you can upgrade any kind of your comm links that you want. It just kind of depends on what you want to do with them. I have chosen to do an 11 act list with Rex, Padme, with an 11-point bid, 3 barks, and some pikes. So I got Rex with aggressive tactics, offensive push, and the jetpack just to make sure he's got some extra movement. So you've got a very mobile Rex. The scouting party that he can have can go with the phase ones because he's got, scouting party. So after you scout, you can choose up 2 friendly trooper units at range 1 to 2. Each may perform a speed 1. Or, as far as I know, you should be able to scout with the pikes, unless I'm mistaken, because they're friendly troopers that can use that extra scout 1 to get the electro whip soldier a little bit closer. And then the barks can just do what they need to. You don't have much range on this, so you could technically just get rid of the pikes, give yourself the clone commander. You can give Rex the recon intel to get him closer to a box, just in case you have to play a box. If you don't have, give yourself a bid. You can now give yourself a little bit more. Let's see. We'll give a strike team with Echo. We still have points to spare. Maybe we go with the clone commander giving lead by example because you don't have any kind of inspire at the moment. And then unless you wanted to actually have a little bit more weaponization, offensive push, just go with a specialist. Yeah, I mean, that's 10 activations. You can trade Padme if you wanted for R2 for secret mission, but the reason I chose Padme was because of the token sharing. So you can just kind of give it to anyone over here that you need to, especially with Rex. I didn't do Anakin just because I mean, I wanted it to try to shoot for as many activations as I could, mostly because of bombing run and breakthrough and try to just stop them from getting in. Hostage exchange and intercept. You could do that one. You could also do recover the supplies because of Padme and Captain Rex. That'd be the only difference instead of intercept the transmissions that I would do. Advanced positions would be good. Battle lines would be good. The rollout would be good. And if you are a blue player, then I'd go with hemmed in because of the things that you're running. You can still do the minefield if you wanted to. Still just be very, very careful. Clear conditions. And then with your guys, you want to keep them alive as long as possible. So I'd go with fortified position and supply drop. And last but not least, let's go with the Stap Riders. There's 2 of them. So the only one that ever has one of them is the Bark. That's the only one. Then we have Agile 1. So after you perform a move, a standard move, you can gain a dodge token. You're going to need them because you don't surge to offense or defense. You still have 3 health, just like every other bike for the most part. And no breaking point. You roll white defense dice, which is the same for the most part, everything but the Bark. You have AI move, so unless you have a face-up order token, your first action must be a move if able. But you do have coordinate droid, trooper, or vehicle. So after you are issued an order, you may issue an order to a friendly droid, trooper, or vehicle at range 1. So basically, if you give an order to a stat rider, they can give it to a stat rider, who can give it to a stat rider, who can then give it to a droid trooper and start your chain. So way, way better than the droidicas at the moment with this. which is fantastic. They have cover 1, so when you're defending, you can improve your cover by 1. Even better. Because again, they don't surge. And then speeder 1, they're trying to make up for that, I think. And so, you can ignore height 1 terrain. They're each going to have 3 black. So you're shooting 6 black if you've got 2 of them. Critical 1. Technically critical 2. And it's in the fixed front, so you have to make sure that they are in the front arc. They're speed 3, so they're going to move pretty fast. So their compulsory move is going to be at the beginning or end, and it's going to be speed 3. If they needed to move speed 1, they'd have to do their compulsory move speed 3, and then all the other moves can do speed 1 or speed 2, whatever you wanted to do if you didn't want to move the full speed. I like these guys a lot. I like them more than the Barks, and I don't like them more than the Empire or the Swoops. So they're in my third, just in case you didn't get that. They're only, 75 points. So they're a little bit more expensive, but the fact that they do coordinate is really, really nice. There's a 12-point lead here. You can get rid of the Viper Recon and go with it even more of a bid if you wanted to, and or give yourself some extra weapons, or go with the T-Series tactical droid. I've got 2 units with the E5 trooper, so that you can have at least a range 4 critical 1, a red and a white with some battle droids. You do have the battle tank, which can do a lot. And the reason I did the Separatist invasion was because of mostly like the command cards. So I wanted to go with mechanized incursion. So give it to a vehicle, and who can coordinate, and then they can coordinate to a friendly droid trooper unit at range 1 to 2 of it as well. So basically, you're just coordinating as much as possible. So you can coordinate to the AAT, who can coordinate to the 3 STAPs, who can coordinate to all the battle droids, and then T-Series can also coordinate to a core. And so your orders are going to be fantastic. So maybe you go with mechanized incursion for sure. And then an AA tank has linked targeting array. So I would definitely give it to the tank and then give it to anyone else that you can. And then AI coordination as well. So you can give it to the battle tank, because the battle tank's going to gain a standby. And since it doesn't have to move, can keep that standby for the most part. And then again, it can coordinate with the OOM series droid. That's for a unit at range 1. And then hopefully a lot of your battle droids are there. And then your T-Series droid can be there. If you definitely needed, to have HQ uplink on the STAP riders, you could. And then, yeah, go with that one. Orbital strike, you can go with, and then, if you needed to comms relay that off, you're more than welcome to. I would probably go with unrelenting assault to give it to 2 core units, and hopefully try to coordinate as much as possible to the STAP. Well, you can't coordinate to a STAP because it's a vehicle. Only the battle droids can coordinate to themselves. And then the unstoppable advance would be pretty good. And Roger. No, honestly, probably assault. But it just depends. Having to keep the STAP riders with an order, it can be hard. But with 12 you might be able to do okay. What I have seen is not a separatist invasion force, but just a regular, a regular list. It had, let's see if I can duplicate it a little bit. Let's see if I can remember everything. Was it? No. Maybe off of the push. I know we had Ascension cables on there. I'm not sure if the electric gauntlets were on there. We did have comms relay. That might have been it. Let's see. What am I missing? There's one more activation, but that's right. That's right. BX with the sniper. And we're going to say seize the initiative. So there's a 14-point bid here because for seize initiative, you can issue yourself an order. So, well, actually, no. Maybe situational awareness, honestly. Wouldn't be that bad. Or we can change that to under. Why not? There we go. There's the 15-point bid. So the T-Series droid is basically going to be coordinating. I saw him put Cad Bane in a spot where the staff riders were going to be. And then eventually, when he wanted to give Cad Bane the order where his 2-pip, he coordinated to the staff riders, which coordinated to another staff rider, which coordinated to another staff rider, which also then coordinated even more. So Cad Bane was a great way to be the intermediate link between the battle droids, between orders and the staff riders. So that way your staff riders can pretty much always have an order as much as possible. If you can go through the route to begin with mechanized incursion and what you could do to give them an order. And then whenever they got close enough to where Cad was, Cad could give the order relay to the staffs, giving them another order, and then hopefully giving them what they can to get in as fast as possible and do what they need to do. And I thought this was a fantastic list. It did really, really well. And it was intercept the transmissions, breakthrough, hostage exchange, and bombing run. Really, really well. Deployment was, I think, battle lines, maybe disarray, rollout, and hemmed in for sure. Maybe danger close was in there. I think the instead of battle lines, I think it was danger close. Then conditions, definitely minefield. We can go with limited viz if you wanted to. The apply drop. No. Let's see. Minefield. Nope. It was definitely hostile environment because droids don't care about suppression. So apply drop would be good. Maybe clear conditions. There you go. Because you've got the range 4 guns. All right. So that was mostly everything around bikes and what you can do to make a list around bikes. This only has 3. They all have 3, except for the Blizzard Force, which has 4 bikes, because that is what you can do, thankfully, with them. And I like that. That actually makes them way more powerful. And so Empire is all the way, again, my favorite. And then Swoop Bikes, my second favorite because of the independent and reinforcements, and along with the amount of damage output they have possible. My third favorite is the staffs because of the coordinate and the critical 2 and the fact that they work really, really well in a high activation list like this. And then my least favorite is the Bark. I love clones. I really, really do. Don't get me wrong, but in Legion, I'm having a hard time liking them a lot because I like the flexibility that Empire has in a lot of different lists. So yeah, that is my take. But all right, guys, if you haven't already, go ahead and head to the Burn Academy and subscribe for that $15 a month. Go ahead and go to the Discord. Ooh, no. Go ahead and head to the Discord and check out all the different stuff that we've talked about and looked at. And if you've got any questions, go ahead and put them in. If you've got any battle reports, please type them out, just like actually Colson did. Really cool to watch, really cool to listen to. And if you have any comments or, things that you'd like to see, go ahead and comment below. All right, guys, I will catch you later in the next video, and I will talk to you later.